let's expatiate on that. What would your party do differently about the economy?
Absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. From first and foremost, I think it's about corruption, corruption, corruption. You have to just stop it.
How?
You just lead by example, like General Muhammad Buhari said. Lead by example, and you put your foot on the ground and you draw the line. That people who are in positions of authority that have public funds and public trust given to them must be accountable for it. Once that is done, everything begins to fall in line. It's like a tumbler. You're trying to, to put it. Everything falls in line. Absolutely. Once you do that, then you get the best brains and think tanks, which you already have in the APC right now, to put up a plan together. And you start looking at the ways to implement it. And now let me say something here that is very important to me. I'm a history buff, so I read a lot of history. And I've gone through the history of this country, and I don't think that at any point in time this country lacks good ideas. No, I don't think so. I think there are a lot of good ideas and good, beautiful economic blueprints. What is lacking is the political will to implement those blueprints. The honesty that is needed in the leadership to drive through the process is what is missing. And that is the most important thing that APC is bringing on board. The honesty of leadership.
And the people say that, it would seem that the APC is relying mainly on the integrity of its candidates, and that's why it seems to be marketed to the majority of people. But then they wonder just how far its influence will go. For instance, you have to know that the 3 tiers of government are supposed to be independent, even though only recently local governments did not get autonomy according to the Constitution review. But the governors, they are immune, as it were, from prosecution and other things, and they have some level of independence. How is this supposed to trickle down? The National Assembly, let's talk about the 3 tripartites of government now. Looking at the National Assembly, you're looking at the executive, you're looking at the judiciary. And it was saying that the president only has power over the executive. How is it supposed to influence, say, the National Assembly, for instance?
Well, you see, I think they say there's a saying that says the fish, rots from the head. And I just said it, that this country has, our institutions are not yet strong enough to be able to survive shocks from very incompetent and clueless leaders. Leaders still play a very important role in this country because, leaders are supposedly very strong. And the Constitution of this country has attributed a lot of powers to the center and a lot of powers to the president. Now, that is true, that governors are independent, or they are supposed to be. And so are local governments and judiciary and the legislature. But one thing always affects the other. Once you have a very strong, honest leadership at the executive, that's the center, it almost affects every other thing because the executive is absolutely in control of the public funds. Once you can apply that judiciously, once you can do the right things and you can lead by example, it has a ripple effect as well. Just as corruption has a ripple effect when the leader is corrupt.
What does your party think about restructuring our political system? Because, several people have talked about the center being too attractive, too strong. That's why there's a lot of fights.
We believe in federalism, yes. We believe in absolute federalism.
How and what do you plan to do?
No, everything we plan to do is going to be subjected to constitutional amendment and everything. But we believe in absolute federalism. We believe that states should be autonomous. We believe in fiscal federalism as well. And we are going to make sure our candidate has shown a capacity to follow the rules at every given opportunity he gets. So the Constitution would be strictly adhered to the way it is. And I'm sure when it is adhered to, more in adherence than in breach that we're having currently, I'm sure everything will be fine.
What is he going to do about making the center or letting the federating units become stronger? And how exactly will he do it?
Implement the Constitution, allow it to run its course. Implement the Constitution the way it is.
But you heard people say time and again, look, the Constitution, there seems to be a challenge with the way it's being not just implemented, but the wordings of it, and so that they should seek to change.
Look, let me tell you what we are not going to do. We are not going to game the system. We are not going to exploit the wordings of the Constitution to the advantage of the president so that he gets too much powers. We are not going to cripple the federating units just because we want too much power at the center. We are not going to exercise absolute power unnecessarily. We are not going to observe this Constitution more in its breach than its adherence. That I can assure you, we are not going to do.
Are they going to give more resources to the federating units and perhaps reduce the resources that goes to the center?
Once there is a law that makes that possible, absolutely.
If there isn't any law, since you say
then
yes,
we'll,
you want
then
to,
we'll make a move to make sure that that law is equitable so that every federating units get enough.
What kind of laws would that be? What would you like to see?
Tail to the Constitution a little bit, make sure that states who are producing certain resources get a fair share of their resources, and then the federal government retains what is enough for it to run an efficient government. It's going to make it lean and more efficient.
Could you help put some figures to it for us? What will fair share mean?
I can't put figures because this thing keeps fluctuating.
No. I mean, what would you like to see in terms of what goes to the center, what goes to the federating unit, such that there'll be a lot less agitation for the center?
Well, let me look at it from this perspective. The center should have enough, like I said, should have enough to make it run efficiently. I don't know how much we're talking about. You can't put figures to this. All you can say is that you take a look at it once you're in government. You take a look at what you are getting at the federal at the center and what the federating units are getting, and then you apportion what is equitable to everyone.
Well, we've seen youth from around the country coming together in Kaduna State to sign a pact on non-violence polls, and of course, well, going back to 2011, and we'll get to also see that the members of the PDP are also, well, pointing fingers at your candidate, linking him to the violence that occurred after the elections of 2011. What is your reading as we go towards this election, knowing full well that we have seen skirmishes of so many, in fact, pockets of violence in different parts of the country, rivers, different parts, and now this particular talk of prosecution?
You know, the PDP seem to wake up in the last 2 weeks, right? Since the election has been postponed. Now they're getting more weapons to fight Boko Haram. They all of a sudden realize that General Muhammadu Buhari has something to do with the 2011 elections. They're trying to prosecute him. While they haven't done that in the last 3 to 4 years since that has happened. I think it's, first of all, why we congratulate the Nigerian military, for the successes they are recording in the fight against insurgency. And we also congratulate the Cameroonian, the Chadian, and the Nigerian forces that have contributed their forces to, and some of the mercenaries that have been brought in from other countries. We all commend them, and anything that will bring an end to this carnage, we celebrate it. The issue of nonviolence, it saddens me as a young man and as a Nigerian. It saddens me that this election, this government, all it has been doing from day one, the mindset, the method, and the approach to violence has been blaming the other person. And then we've seen the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria going on campaign stumps and invoking the very fault lines that are so emotive and they give cause to this violence. Religion. He went to Niger and he went to Kano, and he was saying that the PDP is more of a Muslim party, and that the APC is run by a chairman who is a Christian, a DG who is a Christian, a vice president who owns 5,000 churches.
You have facts.
It was on TV. I'm not saying, let them deny it. I'm saying it on live television. Yes, he said that.
But now,
invoking such an emotive sentiment, a vice president.
But
a vice president.
Well, you feel strongly about that, saying that that's not the way to go. But if we get back to focusing on the economy, because I mean, all of the plans and policies that your party has in the manifesto, even the one the ruling party and any other party have, will be implemented in states. And as such, I mean, I actually meant percentages, not figures. While I did say, could you put certain percentages? So would it be out of place? I mean, what would your recommendations be if you were to suggest, saying, look, this is what we think should come to the center, and this is how we think the federating units can
I mean, I
survive?
will not be able to give you a specific figure, but I certainly would not advocate for the center retaining 50%. That's too much. That's too much.
What would you be looking at?
I don't know, something lower than that. But certainly 50% is too much.
Like what, 30?
I don't know, but 50% is too much. Certainly too much. I think I've made an improvement, right? The federal government right now is getting 50%. And I said 50%. I would advocate for less than 50%, certainly.
Tell us about unemployment.
Yeah, the president took over when unemployment was at 11%. It's now at 24%. The president took over when the dollar was 119. It's now 230. The president took over when our excess crude account was, 26 billion. It's now $2 billion. Unemployment.
That's not what your
is a
party
minimum-
will do about it, because when he
Wait a
said tell us
minute,
about
wait a minute,
unemployment,
wait a minute,
that's not
let
what
me
he
finish.
meant.
Wait a minute, let me finish. I'm just trying to see where we are right now, what we can do, you know. So unemployment, we have a jobs plan. If you have watched some of our town hall meetings, the one we held in Tinubu, the one we held in Uyo, the one that GMB held with the business community in Lagos and in Kano, we're all talking about our jobs plan. We have a robust jobs plan for the young and for the, for even the not so young people. We are not saying that we're going to run a social system where the government has to employ everybody. But the government will have to come because of the national emergency right now.
What will be the
and be
target
able
in
to
the
set up.
first 4 years? How much or how many would you be seeking to employ?
We don't want to be putting figures, but what we would say is that we're going to create...
But it has to be a target.
yeah, well, we have a target. We have a target of employing about, in the first 4 years, ranging about 5 to 10 million people.
How much would it cost, perhaps, if your party has done that, to create those jobs, and how you intend to fund it?
If you're talking about how much it's going to cost, you're looking at if it is the government that's going to be directly employing all the labor. It's not the government that's going to be employing all the labor. There are ripple effects. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say we introduce the school feeding like we said in our manifesto. Let's assume there are 5 million people, 5 million children that go to school. And we say we're going to feed them every day they go to school. A meal a day. That's all it's going to take, a meal a day. Now, if we are going to feed 5 million kids of 1 egg and 2 slices of bread a day, that's 5 million eggs a day. 5 million eggs will take at least, 10,000 to 20,000 poultry farms to produce 5 million eggs a day. A lot of people are going to get jobs through those poultry farms. I'm just giving you a simple example. So these are the kind of things that we're going to put in place that are going to have ripple effects in the economy and get a lot of people into jobs.
All right, I'm Ismael, a member of the APC. Thank you for coming out this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
I will look forward to that debate, since you say it's not an issue.
Absolutely, and then the young people of APC and PDP are going to be having a debate next week. You should listen out to that as well.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be back after the break. Join us again.